Good evening, Gators. My name is Estelle, and this is Vinyāsa Yoga. I want to thank you all for joining me for my final class here virtually, and I appreciate you for trusting me with your practice. So just some housekeeping things to start. You will need a mat, a towel, carpet, or grass, whatever you feel comfortable with. You just want to make sure that it's something that you can lay on and feel totally relaxed. Also, you might want to have a block. This can be a block, a book, pillow, anything that is sturdy so that you can put your hand on it if you cannot fully reach down to touch those toes or ankles. For today's class, we're going to do a gentle class. We're going to warm up on our mats. So we're going to start with closing our eyes. You can be seated up as I am, or you can lay down, either legs fully extended, back all the way down, or knees up towards the ceiling. It is up to you and whatever is most comfortable. I'm going to do my relaxation sitting up today. I'm going to start by taking a nice big deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth or nose. I want to take this time to check in. Check in with ourselves, see where we are both mentally and physically. What has been stressing us out? What has been negative in our life? What has been weighing us down? And leave all of that at the door. Be present in this moment, during this time. I want you to check in with yourself. Listen to your body. What hurts? What needs to be stretched? What feels a little off? Acknowledge those weaknesses, that pain, that uncomfortability, and get ready to work through them during this class. I want you to take this time to check in with your grounding foundation, whether that's your mat, the ground, the earth, towel. Acknowledge how it feels underneath you, whether you are sitting or you are laying completely flat. Get familiar with it. Know that this is where you fully relax. This is where your stability is. If you're finding it difficult to quiet your thoughts and slow your breath, try placing one hand on your chest and one hand on your stomach. And don't focus on actually breathing, but focus on the rise and fall of that body. If you are seated, you're going to take this time to lay down on your mat. Legs can be fully extended or knees up towards the ceiling. It is up to you. From here, we're going to extend our legs if they are not. And on our next inhale, we're going to raise our right leg, placing our hands behind our knee, right about where our thigh ends. And we're just going to pull that knee into our chest, opening up those hips. and the back of those legs. With that lying leg, you want to flex that foot, elongating it along our mats, extending through that heel. With every breath, we're pulling that knee a little bit closer to our chest and extending that lying leg a little bit farther out. On that next inhale, we're raising that left leg, placing one hand behind that knee, right where that thigh ends. We're going to pull both knees into our chest. Feel free to rock side to side. Let those legs sink into those hip sockets. Move those ankles around. We are waking up the lower body. On that next exhale, we're going to release our first leg, whether that was your right or left. We're going to extend it along our mat. Again, flexing that foot, elongating through that heel. Opposite leg is going to take its time, and we're going to pull that knee into our chest. So if you're not sure what leg you're on the other leg, whatever leg you did not start with. Again, with every breath, we're pulling that knee closer to our chest and extending our lying leg. And on that next exhale, release that leg. From here, we're going to raise our knees up towards the ceiling, dragging those feet closer to our hips. Our legs are going to be roughly hip distance apart. We want our hips tucked underneath. We want our back in contact with our mat. Palms facing down. From here, we're going to go into some bridges. So on our next exhale, we're raising those hips up towards the ceiling, squeezing those glutes at the top, holding for a breath, and slowly, one vertebrae at a time, inhaling, slowly bringing those hips back down to our mat. Nice, slow, and controlled, following your own breath. And again, we're exhaling those hips up towards the ceiling. Inhaling, slowly, one vertebrae at a time, coming down. Just a few more. And final one right here. And relax. From here, we're going to transition to all fours. So we're going to drop one knee, does not matter which. Bring that other leg right on top. Let's turn our body over, bringing our hand to meet our mat. It's going to lift the chest up, sweeping those legs underneath. So starting from the bottom up, we're going to tuck those toes. We're going to leave those toes flat to start. We want our feet roughly hip distance apart, knees right underneath our hips. We want our wrists right underneath our hips, and we want our neck in neutral. We're going to be looking a little bit beyond the top of our mat. We're going to make sure we're not looking up or straight down. We want to be looking forward. From here, we're going to go into our cat-cows. So on that next inhale, we're raising our tailbone up towards the ceiling, dropping that belly button down to our mat, lifting that chin up towards the ceiling. And on that exhale, pushing through the palms of those hands, rounding out that back, trying to bring belly button to spine, tucking that chin into our chest for our count. The most important thing in yoga in general, in my opinion, is breathing. You always want to make sure that we are never holding our breath in any of these poses. We are not following my tempo. We're not following anyone else's tempo, but the tempo of our lungs. Our lungs are leading our movements. If you're feeling like you're not getting a big enough breath, that is totally fine. Just a few more. And last one here. And return to neutral spine. If you need to go into child's pose, feel free to do so. Next, we're going to move into some spinal balance. So we're going to tuck those toes behind us for some stability. And from the top down, we're going to raise our arm, palms facing towards the midline of our body, extending through those fingertips. Opposite leg is going to extend, flexing the foot, trying to bring those toes up towards your head, leading through the heel, keeping that core tight, keeping those hips straight. And then you're either returning to all fours or you're bringing that elbow to knee for some added core work. So again, on that inhale, we're lifting, raising one arm, one leg, leading through those fingertips, leading through the heel. On that exhale, bringing knee to elbow for some core work or just bringing it right back down to all fours. Again, remember, we're following our own breath, going at our own pace. We're listening to our bodies. It's exactly why we do a check-in. So no matter what is happening around us, no matter what other people are doing, we remember why we personally are here, why we are taking this class, why we are doing the poses that we're doing, why we're breathing the way that we are. Just two more on each side. And when you're done, you can go ahead and rest in child's pose, pushing those hips back, extending those arms. Knees can be together or apart. It is up to you. You want to make sure to put your head down in child's pose. I'm going to leave mine up so that my mic is not messed with. From here, we're going to move into our half series. With the half series, it moves quickly, so it is happening on each of our breaths. It's also short. So on that next inhale, we're bringing those hips forward in a kneeling plank. Exhaling, bringing the chest down to our mat. Inhaling up into a full plank. Dropping those knees down and pushing those hips back into child's pose. And again, on that next inhale, bringing those hips forward into our kneeling plank. Exhaling, coming down. Inhaling, coming all the way up. Dropping those knees down and pushing those hips back into child's pose. We just got 2 more of these in again. And when you're done, you can just go ahead and rest in this child's pose. From here, we're going to transition to our first downward dog. So we're going to bring those hips forward, tuck those toes under, lift those knees, and push back through those hands into our downward dog. We want to try to have our head in between our biceps and triceps and just start pedaling those feet. You can pedal one after the other. You can hold one down, dropping those knees, lifting them up, pushing the body forward, bringing the body back. Just really get some movement in your downward dog. Wake up all of those muscles. And again, make sure we are taking nice, big, deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth or nose, whatever is most comfortable for you. From here, we're going to take our right leg and take a nice big step forward, meeting those hands. Even if you only get up to here, that is completely fine. In our low lunge. From here, we're just going to drive that other foot up and stay in our forward fold at the top of our mat. So here we just want to let that head hang heavy, grab onto those elbows, rock around, bend those knees and extend them. Again, we're just waking up that body, waking up those hamstrings. And whenever you're ready, we're going to bend those knees, inhaling up and bringing those hands down in our mountain pose. So in our mountain pose, shoulders are down and back, feet are roughly hip distance apart, eyes are open or closed, it is up to you, and palms face forward. Staying in our mountain pose for just a moment. From here, we're going to move into our moon and sunflowers. So we're going to step back with one leg, having our feet wider than hip distance, shoulder distance apart. We're turning those heels in, toning those toes out at about 45 degrees. We want to make sure our stance is wide enough so that when we're bringing our hips down, those knees are not going past those toes. They're staying right over those ankles. So we're going to inhale up, fingers nice and wide. Exhaling, leading with those elbows, driving those elbows into those hips, bringing those hips down. For our moonflower. Very important with this, we want to make sure that we're pulling those knees back so that they're staying over our ankles. We're not letting them fold in. Also want to make sure that we're opening up that chest, bringing our shoulders back and down. And bringing those elbows into our chest, elbows into our hips. Taking nice, big, deep breaths, letting them lead and guide your movements. Just 2 more. From here, we're going to transition into our sunflowers. So we're inhaling those arms up, exhaling, bringing those palms up towards the ceiling, bringing the edges of our hands together. Same exact thing with those legs. We're pulling those knees back, keeping them over our ankles, keeping those shoulders back and down, keeping that chest open, even though we're bringing those hands in front of us. Just a few more. And exhale those arms down. Drive that foot back up to the top of our mat. In our mountain pose for just one moment. From here, we're going to do a sun salutation. So we're going to inhale up. arms up. If you do not want your arms up because those shoulders are just not about it, you can have those hands in prayer, or you can bring those hands behind you. Again, keeping the shoulders down and back, chest wide open. Of course, nothing ever happens. And in the last class, Mike dies. And whenever you're ready, on that next exhale, we're going to rotate those back toes towards the outside of our mat. Our legs are still exactly where they are before. So we want to make sure that our hips are still in line with each other. Ankles are in line with each other. Just going to bring those arms down to shoulder length and avert our gaze towards the top of our mat, looking beyond those fingertips. Again, alternatives, hands in prayer, or hands behind, just making sure to keep that chest open and shoulders down and back. From here, we're going to drop that front forearm down to our thigh. And then we're going to bring that other arm up towards the ceiling and let our gaze follow. So again, our legs are not moving. They should still be in line with hips and ankles. And then just opening up that chest and reaching. Taking nice big breaths in through the nose and out through the nose or mouth. You can stay here if you would like. If you're looking for something a little bit more challenging, you can go ahead and follow me. From here, all we're doing is lifting up the upper body, extending that front leg, and bringing that body right back down, all the way down to our ankles. This would be a good time to use that block or textbook or pillow or whatever you have, adjusting to whatever height makes the most sense for you. Again, with that arm, it can either be up towards the ceiling, letting that gaze follow. We can bring it behind us, keeping that shoulder back, chest open, and letting that our gaze be towards the sky. Just a few more breaths here. We're going to come out of this very slowly. So we're going to start with that front leg. We're going to bend it first, bringing that hand down from our mat, up from our mat to our thigh, forearm, like the pose that we were in before. We're going to lift up that upper body. We're going to rotate those back toes. We're going to drive that foot back up to the top of our mat in our mountain pose. We're going to do 2 of those sun salutations. So we're inhaling up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Hands to knees, flat back. Exhale all the way down. Stepping back with the right foot, then the left. Bringing the chest all the way down. Coming up in upward dog. Tucking those toes. Swinging those hips back. Stepping forward with the right leg. Then the left. Bending those knees, inhaling up into our chair pose. And again, inhaling up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Stepping back with the right. Then the left. Stepping forward with the right, left, and bending those legs, and sitting in our chair pose. And back to mountain. From here, just going to do the other side. So we're going to step back with our right leg. Again, both toes pointed towards the top of our mat, knees over ankles, hips in line, rolling those shoulders down and back, and either bringing those hands up, behind, or in prayer. It is up to you. Again, remember, we're trying to close the space between our legs, activating our quads and hamstrings by pretending we are bringing those legs together. And on our next exhale, we're going to rotate those back toes away from the top of our mat. Exhaling those arms down to shoulder length and letting our gaze look over our front fingers. Again, making sure that hips, knees, ankle are all in alignment. Just a few more breaths here. From here, we're going to drop that front forearm down to that thigh, opening up that chest, extending that arm up towards the ceiling or behind you, and bringing our gaze up towards the ceiling. You can choose to stay here, or you can follow me for something a little more advanced. Extending that front leg, and then just bringing that hand down to our ankle or our mats, whatever we can reach, or we're using our block, book, pillow, textbook for added height. Just a few more breaths here. And whenever we're ready, we're just going to slowly come out of this position. So starting by bending that front leg, bringing that hand from our mat or the ground back up to that thigh, lifting up that upper body, rotating those back toes towards the top of our mat, driving that leg back up, and taking a moment in our mountain pose. I'm going to do 2 sun salutations here. So we're going to inhale up, exhale, stepping back with the right, stepping forward with the right, and one more time. Stepping back. Oh, sorry. And sneeze. Stepping back with the right. Back to our mountain pose. Shoulders down and back, palms facing forward, eyes open or closed. It is up to you. From here, we're going to move into our tree pose. So it does not matter what foot you start with, meaning both ways, either the foot you're balancing on or the foot you're bringing up. Pick a side. Whatever foot will be your grounding, balancing foot. I want to try to have your toes as far apart as possible. I want to feel every single point of your foot grounded and planted on whatever your grounding foundation is. With that other leg, we're going to place our heel right on that ankle. We want to make sure we're in proper form before we do anything else. So when we're just standing here, we want to make sure that we're pulling our knee back so that it's in line with our hips. We want to make sure our shoulders are back and down. When the leg is ready to bend or whatever, climb up our leg, we want to make sure that we're not grabbing onto that ankle and using our hand to do it. We want to have our foot move naturally. We want this to be, we're listening to our body. We're figuring out where they go without any assistance. Also, we want to make sure that we're placing that foot on our calf muscle or on our thigh muscle. We are not placing it right in the middle on that knee bone. We want to make sure that we are not hurting any part of our body. So, hands can be in prayer or in tree. Eyes can be open or closed. It is up to you. If they are closed, it is a million times harder. So, we're balancing here. Once you feel strong and able, it's going to let that leg tell you where it's going. I feel like my face is always so serious, so I'm trying to smile and soften it up. Remember, here we're taking nice big breaths. We're not holding our breath, tensing our body. We are nice and relaxed, even though we are only balancing on one leg. Just a few more breaths. And whenever you're ready, release this leg and shake out that grounded foot. And then whenever you're ready, set up the other side. So again, bringing those those toes nice and far apart, planting that foot, bringing that ankle to our heel, pulling that knee back to our hip, shoulders down and back, and arms wherever we would like them to be. Now whenever we're ready, that foot is either going on that calf muscle or that thigh muscle. If you're noticing one side is clearly better than the other, it's totally fine. Acknowledge it and just work through it. We are not perfect human beings, nor are we meant to be. Just a few more breaths. And when you're ready, release that leg. Shake out that grounded foot. And if you are not at the top of your mat, you will get there now. In our mountain pose, rolling those shoulders down and back. From here, we're going to inhale up. Exhale. From here, we're going to take a step back with the left leg into a lunge. We're going to drop that knee down. We're going to swoop that leg around. Then we're going to push those hips back into a child's pose. You can have one hand on the other, and have your forehead on the back of your hands. We want to have our knees apart. We want to do a wide leg child's pose. From here, we're going to inhale and move those hips forward. Extend those legs behind us. And place our palms facing up towards the ceiling right next to us. I'm not going to put my head down, otherwise my mic will act all crazy. So feel free to put one hand underneath your forehead and bring your head all the way down. From here, whatever hand is next to your leg, that leg will raise, foot up towards the ceiling. I'm just going to grab onto that ankle and stretch out that quad. If you're not feeling the stretch, try lifting that leg up for a deeper stretch. And release. And switch to the other side. And release. From here, we're going to push back into our wide leg child's pose. From here, we're just going to come up and swoop those legs out so that they are straight and we are on those sits bones, sitting up nice and tall. From here, does not matter which leg we start with, so I'll just go ahead and start with my right. We're going to place that foot right next to our knee. We're going to take our opposite arm and just hug this leg. Same arm comes right behind us. Getting a nice big spinal twist. And release, starting with that hand behind us, bringing it next to us, releasing that arm on that leg, and extending that leg along our mat. Getting ready to do the other side, bringing that foot to knee, arm around that leg, hand behind. And release. I'm going to do 2 more poses before our final relaxation. Going to lay it back. Slowly, one vertebrae at a time, slowly bringing that head down to our mat. We're going to take, on our next inhale, we're going to raise one leg, then the other. We're going to bend those legs. For our hands, they can come on the inside, grabbing the inside of that foot. They can come from the inside and grab the outside of that foot, or we can just grab onto those big toes. Again, that's always from the inside, grabbing over the toes, grabbing on the outside of the toes, grabbing that big toe. We're going to do our happy baby. So we're grabbing onto our feet, whatever way is comfortable. And we're pulling those knees into our chest. Feel free to rock side to side in your happy baby. Extend a leg, extend another. Move around and figure out what it is you need from this pose. Feel free to switch that grip. Feel how each hand position feels on those hips. Figure out again, what is your body looking for? Just 2 more breaths here. And relax. We're going to release those hands and extend those legs along our mat. Our final move will be a spinal twist, which is my absolute favorite. So on our next inhale, we're going to raise our right leg. We're going to place our opposite arm on the outside of that knee. Same arm is going to extend out our shoulder. We're going to pull that knee down across our body, and we're going to look back behind us, looking at those fingertips, feeling our back crack in all the right places. Just a few more breaths here. And release. We're going to bring our gaze up towards the ceiling. Bring that arm that's extended back. Release the hand on the leg and bring that leg back down, extending it along our mat. Getting ready to do the other side. So on that next inhale, raising our left leg, opposite arm goes across that knee. Same arm extends to that shoulder. Pulling that leg across our body and looking back beyond our fingertips. Just a few more breaths here. And on that final exhale, we're going to release that hand behind us. Bring our gaze back up towards the ceiling. Release that leg and bring that leg along our mat. From here, we're going to move into our final relaxation. So you can be lying down on your mat, legs fully extended or whatever you're laying on, knees up towards the ceiling. You can sit up if you would like. Whatever is the most comfortable for you to allow your body to adjust to all the work that we've just done. Let it all sink in and acknowledge how different your body feels from now from the start of class. If you are lying down on your mat, I'm going to take this time to roll onto your side. Does not matter which. If you have a blanket or a pillow you can actually use, feel free to use that. Otherwise, you can place your arm underneath your head for some support, and then place your other palm flat on the mat. And whenever you're ready, you're going to slowly find your way up to seated position. Again, whenever you are ready. I want to thank you all for joining me this evening. I hope that you feel rejuvenated. I hope that you feel a lot looser. I hope that you feel ready to take on the rest of the week. And I hope that you feel a little more positive energy. Hope you can pass that positive energy to the people that you meet from now and forever. I do not say namaste at the end of my classes because it means hello. So I say have a good day in Hindu, which is Mali Kaludam. Feel free to say whatever your practice requires or feels good for you. And I will say Mali Kaludam to all of you. Mali Kaludam. Have a wonderful evening and thank you. See you, Gators.